First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Alexus Cleavenger.
And I'm Kennedy Mason.
We're tracking Hurricane Ian's devastating impact, and one woman in Fort Myers lost almost everything from severe flooding. Cutting the soaked carpets, scrubbing the mud-filled floors, and trashing the family's antiques. It's what 4 feet of flood water left behind in 74-year-old Elaine Livingston's home.
It's like we got bombed.
But as she says, tangible items can be replaced, a person cannot.
I'm happy it's a mess, but that can be replaced. Can't replace it. My husband's still alive.
Elaine says she chose to evacuate hours before Ian made landfall in southwest Florida, while her other half decided to stay. She recalls the conversation.
He said, "I'm not leaving, I'm staying." I said, "Well, I'm leaving." And that's where I left to my son who lives on the West Coast.
A goodbye Elaine feared that could have been forever. She returned home for the first time on Saturday. So much unknown, no communication, fears her husband might be dead.
I've been crying. I've been breaking down probably every hour of the hour.
But her husband lived through it. And it's the unity after the storm
Look at you!
Beautiful.
that brought family back together. Elaine's 2 sons, Brandon and Timothy, helped clean up her house. Brandon says while some family mementos were saved, it wasn't easy.
It's been every possible emotion you can imagine. Frustrating, sad. We've made jokes, we've laughed, you know. It's really starting to set in. You see the pile of stuff that, has been here for 20 years.
But with the support of her family, it's the 20 years of memories that Elaine holds forever close. Now, Elaine tells me she does not have any definite plans about whether she's going to stay or leave in her current home.
Far from Fort Myers, some hot spots in Florida are still waiting for Hurricane Ian flooding to totally dry up. The St. Johns River and many others received a lot of rainwater. The flooding hit towns up and down the St. Johns River Basin, including Geneva, a community in between lakes on the northeast side of Greater Orlando. St. Cloud is also located between lakes on the southeast side. On Sunday, thousands of people there were told to think about evacuating due to extensive street flooding. The city now says extensive pumping efforts are starting to turn things around. Back in the Fort Myers area today, the death toll in Lee County now tops 50. The search is still ongoing, building by building, car by car, boat by boat. NBC's Chris Pallone reports from Fort Myers Beach.
In hard-hit Fort Myers Beach, search and rescue teams are going door to door, making sure everyone who can be saved is.
That requires very extensive, tedious, very slow, methodical searching.
They're combing every structure, home, businesses, even vehicles. The Lee County Sheriff says the intensive search will last 3 or 4 more days. At least 55 people who didn't make it were found in this county.
And those numbers could go up. I pray to God again that they don't. But until we go through the rubble, until we see exactly what we have, we're not certain who's missing and what those numbers will be.
Those who did stay home during Ian now reflecting on what was lost and what could have been lost.
Big mistake, big mistake.
Inland, Ian's effects still being felt. The St. Cloud community, just one, dealing with flooding from rising rivers.
Like a lot of water, but I never seen something like this in my life.
Back in Fort Myers Beach, for those now starting over, simple things bring the greatest joy.
Go in the house and turn the air on, the power's on.
Are you kidding me?
It just came on.
Now I'm happy. We can have margaritas today.
Oh, beautiful.
A light moment in a time of overwhelming darkness.
And it seems like the hurricane has brought along those cold temperatures with it.
Yeah, you're right, Alexis. It's been pretty chilly in Gainesville. It's been nice. Well, WUFT's Garrett Jetter joins us now with more on the weather.
We're tracking two systems developing in the tropics. This system right here has a medium chance of developing. It is expected to affect parts of the Windward Islands as well as parts of Venezuela, but it is not anticipated to make landfall here in Florida. Here, this system here has a high chance of developing within the next day or so, but by Wednesday or Thursday, those conditions for development are going to weaken. So this system is also not expected to make landfall here in Florida. Let's take a look at your campus cam. Lots of blue sky out there. You can see lots of stratus clouds over there above the stadium. It feels like 75. Over the next couple of hours, we're on a steady decline in our temperature-wise. We're expecting an overnight low in the 50s. I'll have more on that in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. A boatyard and marina in downtown Fort Myers are nearly unrecognizable after Hurricane Ian. Hundreds of boats and yachts were damaged or destroyed in two marinas. Legacy Harbor Marina saw the most destruction. Some boat owners now have nowhere to turn.
A lot of these people they've lost their homes. A lot of these people live on the boats in Legacy Harbor here, and they've lost everything. But yeah, I was hoping, I hadn't been out here yet. I was hoping that when I got out here, it wasn't going to be blocked off crime scene. I was praying, so it's really, really good to see that nobody's hurt.
Some boat owners stayed at the Fort Myers Yacht Basin while the hurricane struck the city. Fortunately, initial reports say that they all survived the storm.
One of those boat survivors says he thought he could ride out the storm because his boat was tied down and weighs 130,000 pounds. The panic came when the boat broke free and was washed toward power lines. He says he spent most of the time praying for his family's safety while they watched the storm sweep away their city. While most of their belongings are now destroyed, he's grateful to be alive and surrounded by the ones he loves.
Stuff he worked so hard to build up, and it just gone in an instant. But my family's alive. I mean, I found all my family alive, so all that other stuff can be replaced.
He had taken in a few people trapped on the street, and everyone survived the wild boat ride without a scratch.
In Pine Island, a small community off the coast of Cape Coral, was one of the hardest hit areas this past week when Hurricane Ian struck southwest Florida. The traditional fishing and fruit tree island grew up to add small towns. Some areas survived, but a lot of the island looks like fallen power lines and debris as far as the eye can see. There's no power, and access to the only bridge on and off the island is prohibited. One Buckingham resident decided to make his way across the water, not only to help the community, but also find his missing friends.
We just brought boats down to try and help everybody on and off the island, bring them supplies. I have a search team going down the island with chainsaws, door to door, trying to find our friends that we can't find or locate.
Like many, he is confident that the community will come back from this disaster stronger than ever.
Well, we've seen incredible damage, but yet heard such amazing stories.
Yeah, we have another personal story coming up after the break. Stay tuned for an introduction to what they call the Cajun Navy.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. Now, it's not just the government providing Hurricane Ian relief. Lots of organizations sprang into action, including one called the Cajun Navy. WUFT's Emily Palazzotto shows us how they touched one woman's life.
It was real bad.
A traumatic experience.
It was times that where, like, I was praying.
40-year-old Tamara Cersei's experience.
And I had to push the dresser, like, behind the window. I'm like, Lord, please don't let the window break. God, please don't let it break.
Hurricane Ian left this North Fort Myers resident's home flooded. Her community, almost unrecognizable.
Big old oak trees getting broken down that fell over.
There's a lot of need in these parts.
This is really the heart of the impact zone.
And that need is being met by Good Samaritans.
Amen. We respond to earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, you name it.
The Cajun Navy runs this relief hub, helping hundreds. Its volunteers and donations provide those hit with natural disasters with resources necessary for survival.
It's going to take so much help from not just the Fort Myers community, but the surrounding state, honestly, even the country.
Survivors can get food, water, and other supplies right here. Cajun Navy social media coordinator Mary Diacides says support and care are vital during this difficult time.
People just need love right now.
People like Tamara Cersei.
But to see somebody still care and somebody still love you, that means a lot.
Cersei is taking it day by day with the help of the Cajun Navy.
I don't even know yet if I even the place or what to do. So I'm just, I guess, playing everything by ear, waiting till the resources come.
All the way up, all the way up.
To start building her life back.
We're gonna make it. We're survivors.
Piece by piece. Emily Palazzotto, WUFT News.
The Cajun Navy will keep operating at least another week in their current North Fort Myers location, and the group plans to open more locations throughout Lee County.
People without a home for protection are especially vulnerable to severe weather. That's why Grace Marketplace uses part of its funding to accommodate more guests during a hurricane threat. The homeless shelter currently has about 100 guests and is prepared to receive more people in need as winter approaches. These preparations began last week with Hurricane Ian. Housing specialist Tracy Brown says they normally see an increase as hurricane season winds down and temperatures start to drop.
So typically when the season changes and it get a little colder, we start getting a lot more guests coming in for shelter, and whenever we have extreme weather situations throughout the community, guests will come here and use the services, the emergency shelter building that we provide here.
Grace Marketplace also uses part of its funding to financially support some of its guests. More people are then able to come up with a down payment for more permanent housing, thanks to the shelter's programs and its contributors. As the governor tours damage firsthand, state agencies are coordinating the response from Tallahassee. 17 counties have been cleared for individual assistance, and there could be 3 more. As of Monday's count, more than 164,000 people have applied. 2 million resident customers have regained power, and it could be restored by Sunday for every building in shape to receive it. Disaster unemployment assistance is available for select counties. The governor said today that multiple responses must work side by side to restore roads and power lines, remove debris, and provide relief. We hope that those affected by last week's weather conditions are getting the help they need to recover.
Yeah, that's right. WFT's Derrah Getter will be updating us on what weather we can expect for next week. Derrah.
It's starting to feel more and more like fall. I'll have more on how long these cooler temperatures will last in my full forecast coming up.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Temperatures in the mid-70s across North Florida, 75 in Gainesville, 74 in Hawthorne, and 75 in Archer. Over the next couple of hours, temperatures are going to decrease quite a bit as we're expecting an overnight low in the 50s tonight. 52 in Gainesville, 51 in Archer, and 52 in Waldo. As we head further south, temperatures barely reaching the 60s, 58 in the Villages, 56 in Bellevue, and 54 in Dunalon. Let's take a look at your campus cam. Beautiful blue skies out there. It feels like 75, lots of stratus clouds stretching over the stadium there. We're expecting winds of up to 11 miles per hour in Gainesville, 10 miles per hour in Alachua, and 12 miles per hour in Waldo. To Wednesday morning, these breezes that you're feeling today are going to turn into a light wind tomorrow morning. 68 as you wake up and head out the door, and lots of sunshine in the afternoon, reaching our high in the low 80s. Wednesday highs 83 in Gainesville, 82 in Bronson, and 83 in Ocala. Wednesday night is going to feel pretty similar to how it's going to feel tonight. 57 in Gainesville and 57 in Ocala. We're tracking 2 systems in the tropics right now. One system has a higher chance of developing here in the next day or so. But Wednesday and Thursday, those conditions for development are going to weaken, so we're not expecting it to make landfall here in Florida. The system over here has a medium chance of developing, but we're also not expecting that system to affect Florida either. Over the next week, temperatures are going to increase just a bit between Friday and Saturday, but we're expecting more rain later on next week to come cool us back down into the low 80s. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. Hurricane Ian moved some high school football games around.
Last night, 6 teams, including Williston, took the field for Monday Night Football. More on this after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Taylor Burr. The UF men's basketball team takes another step towards the start of the Todd Golden era with the official start of preseason practices. The Gators officially took the court for the 5th time, and by the looks of it, the season's going to be very different. The Gators returned just one full-time starter off a squad that went 20-14 a year ago. Colin Castleton looks to lead his team in his 5th year alongside Niels Lane and Alex Fudge. The Gators will rely heavily on transfers Kyle Lofton and Will Richards, who both sat out practice yesterday with minor injuries. Moving to the courts, the number 15 Florida volleyball team will take on Tennessee tomorrow. Coming off a bye week, the Gators look to get back to action. The last time these two teams played, the Gators beat the Vols in 4 sets. UF is currently 10-3 overall and 2-1 in the SEC going into tomorrow's game. Game time is set for 7 p.m. in Knoxville. Moving to high school football, Williston defeated Newberry at home last night. The Red Devils extended their winning streak to 5 with the 42-19 win. Senior running back Kyrie Edwards rushed for 3 touchdowns and finished with over 200 yards on the ground. Elsewhere on high school football schedule, Eastside defeated North Marion 14-6. Bradford moved to 6-0 with a 38-0 win over Keystone Heights. Oak Hall beat Bronson 43-14, and PK Young lost to Mount Dora Christian 13-12. Most teams that played Monday will turn around and kick off again on Friday.
Thanks, Taylor. A family in the Florida Keys found a new friend while clearing debris left by Hurricane Ian. Meet Ian, the turtle, rescued by a family who found him amidst all the seaweed. The family called the Florida Keys Turtle Hospital, where Ian was measured, given fluids, and nursed back to health. When he's ready, little Ian will be returned to the sea.
What a cute little guy. Before we go, let's have one last check on the weather.
Here's UF forecaster Derrah.
Partly cloudy skies this evening, and if you're headed out tonight, you'll feel a light breeze. Skies will be mostly clear. Over the next couple of days, temperatures are going to increase just a little bit between Friday and Saturday, but we're anticipating more rain mid-next week to come cool us off. Back to you.
Thanks, Derrah. BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night. We'll see you later.